Back with you here on SportsGrid, Coach James Young, Tom Vecchio. I'm Kevin Walsh. And, it's incredible. We've talked a little during the show about a Phoenix Suns star being traded, just not the one that's obviously going to be traded in Kevin Durant. We know KD is going to be traded to attempt to play catch-up here for everyone. KD has certain spots he's willing to go. Those spots are primarily the Heat, the Rockets, maybe the Spurs. That's what Shams let us know. Shams Trani of ESPN. Minnesota wants KD, though. Well, KD doesn't want to go to Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is uninterested in trying to sway KD's opinion. It doesn't seem like that's really going to play out. The Toronto Raptors are interested in Kevin Durant. From what I gather, based on what we're being told, they're offering the best possible package.
Right.
R.J. Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, number 9. That seems pretty great if you're Phoenix, if you can bring that in. But I'm sure if KD's not going to go to Minnesota, he's not all that interested in going to Toronto. No. And there's the Spurs piece of it. They just don't seem interested anymore. San Antonio, young stars, obviously not only coveting the number 2 pick, but perhaps just coveting a not sped up timeline. Maybe they just want to save every asset possible in case a Giannis comes available or something closer to that type of player. We're not hearing a lot about the Spurs.
Not anymore.
Correct.
Right.
That leaves us with the Heat, and it leaves us with the Rockets. The 2 front runners for Kevin Durant right now, I would put the Raptors third, actually, because if they're going to send KD somewhere he doesn't want to go, I think Toronto will win out based on what's being reportedly out there. It's a lot. It's a lot we're trying to juggle here. I'll go to you first, Tom. What do you make right now of the Kevin Durant race?
It's a little bit of a mess, if we're being honest. A little bit of a mess. I would like to see it be finalized by the time the draft rolls around, and I think it will be.
Agree.
Regardless of if it's KD's preferred destination or if it's, hey, as the Suns' perspective, we just got to take the best option available at a certain point. Because if you theoretically, let's just say the Spurs were really interested, if you're going to make the deal, you want that 2 pick. You just want to let's get into the draft. We'll take care of it ourselves. We'll move them out. You give us the pick, and then we can go from there. If we're getting close to the draft, that's where I think the Suns will just jump at the first and/or best package they get sent, and it may end up being the Raptors. It's not his preferred destination. Listen, the 9th pick is here. It's Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. We're just taking this deal just because we can't materialize the deal with Miami. So I would say if I was Durant, obviously Miami looks to be the destination, regardless of does he want to go to a state that doesn't have income tax or whatever it might be. You want to go to a wide open East. You want to go to a wide open East with a chance to win one more championship. Going to the Spurs, I don't think makes sense for him or the Spurs overall. Like you said, you want to be gathering assets and not accelerating the timeline, kind of akin to what the Thunder have done, where you have stars, you build around them, you collect assets, and then if you need to make a big splash, then that's where you go and do it. The Rockets, I think, is a reasonable answer, but again, do the Rockets want to give up young assets to get an aging veteran for 2 years, 3 years? I know Durant has said Coach, he said he's committed to long-term or he's excited, whatever it might be, to extend long-term. It doesn't feel like he's going to be there long-term.
Yeah, I think when you look at Kevin Durant and you look at a team like the Rockets, they're a team that they probably say that they're one team away from winning an NBA championship. Now, it's all about how they structure it, right? Is it Jalen Green? But if you have Jalen Green, then what do you do with Jabari? Because you have KD with Jabari. I don't think they play together. I don't think KD can play a 3, even though he's got that sniper mentality. But then you don't want to go up Jabari because of Jabari's age. So I think these teams are looking at Phoenix, and the more the teams go out and the more that Kevin Durant says, I don't want to go to Minnesota, the Knicks say, we don't want you, even though I think KD in a roundabout world wants the Knicks, but every Knicks fan doesn't want KD because he went to the Nets, and that's a whole other soap opera for another day. I think if you are Houston and you are Miami, you just sit back and wait. Because at the end of the day, Kevin Durant's going to dictate this, and you're just going to wait until, like Tom said, probably 5 p.m., and then you're going to put out your offer, and then you're probably going to force Phoenix to take it because at the end of the day, Phoenix is going nowhere. They have to rebuild. They got to move KD. But the problem is, guys, with a 1 year left and going into an expiring deal, you shouldn't be giving up the farm for him.
So I think based on the reported offers, though, nobody is being forced to give up the farm in order to bring in Kevin Durant. I would say on the Houston side of it, all right, so this might sound crazy to people. If you just told me Kevin Durant in, Jalen Green, Jabari out this season, the Rockets might have won the title.
Okay.
Because I think they would have easily beaten Golden State. I think Minnesota was more vulnerable. At that point, you're in the conference finals, and I think, we'll talk.
And Jalen Green was absolutely abysmal.
Atrocious.
Abysmal.
And Kevin Durant still is just sleepwalking to 27 on roughly 50, 40, 90, right? And the Thunder, to me, we can get into this a little. The Thunder are far more vulnerable. Like, people talk about like the East being open. The NBA is a little more open. Why is the East open? Oh, because the Pacers aren't that good. Well, we have a Game 7 tomorrow. So I just think that that's a whole nother. So for me, the Rockets, here's the thing. Also, I don't want to hear that we're preaching youth movement and then Ime refused to play Reed Shepherd. Ime is not all that interested in winning 40 games. They won 52 because he's a great coach and he played all the guys that maximize their window for this season to get as many wins as possible. And you might say, doesn't everybody do that? No, ask Utah. So I think for the Rockets, it makes sense. The thing is, I don't even know if Jalen Green's a positive asset. So, like, it's almost like, no, you have to take Jalen Green. It's like, what? And you have to take Jabari. The other guy you might have missed on, like, well, I don't really love the Rockets' return. Then you get the Miami piece. Miami has two options. Get Kevin Durant or trade Bam Adebayo. That's it. And everyone's like, but I don't want to give up Khalil Ware. Hey, look, man. I understand when the Heat draft a guy, it upticks everyone's value. But we were here on draft night. I know, Coach and I, of course, Tom will be joining us this year. But when Khalil Ware was drafted to Miami, it was like, that's really exciting for Khalil Ware. It wasn't. Khalil Ware goes 5th overall. This guy wasn't seen as this coveted, untouchable piece. So, to me, there's a disconnect there. And if you put Kevin Durant with the Miami Heat next year, if we're doing the whole East is open thing, then why not us? Kevin Durant will walk into the East. He's going to start in the All-Star game next year. 100%.
Yeah.
100% he's going to start in the All-Star game next year. He will be one of the best players in the conference. That's just what it's going to be. So, for Miami, I think that there is reason to get the deal done. Do you think I'm short-siding it? Like, I guess, to the Memphis thing, though, Tom, if I told you the options were trade for Durant or don't and kind of sell Bam Adebayo, would you go that way and blow it up, if you will, if you're Miami?
I think there's trepidation from the fan base to, like we tried with Jimmy Butler and it didn't work. And they're completely different players. I'm just saying from like a star perspective of like, you try and bring in a big name, granted different ways.
No, I would just say that the Jimmy thing did work. I don't think working is just did we win the title.
Okay,
they made multiple finals.
It's true.
He's going to get his number hung in the rafters if everybody can get over the exit.
Absolutely.
Like
be up there, but I would say go with Durant.
I agree.
And keep Bam. Go with Durant.
Wanted Kevin Durant for a decade.
I know
in Miami.
I would say
now
they tried for Dame. They never got Dame. They now bring in Durant. I would say that's the option. I would not say blow it up and go and give up Bam.
There is just quickly, Coach, the Knicks piece of it. Are you okay with the fact that the Knicks have clearly turned down Kevin Durant?
No.
Okay.
No. You need a guy who can get with Jalen Johnson. Dribble, look, dribble, look, dribble. You need someone that can score a late shot clock. No better player still than Kevin Durant.
I just think that it's so much talent they would have. It's tough to know what the deal, though, would be. It's a very fascinating situation. We'll talk some NBA draft with you right here on SportsGrid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio Have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis. Because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent a message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Tom Vecchio, Coach James Young. NBA draft, Wednesday. Crazy.
Wednesday.
Can we start with the Ace Bailey stuff?
Oh, boy.
Okay. I was going to say my take is that Flag goes number 1, but we
I mean, you want to talk about spicy take right there? Cooper Flag number 1. Shocker.
All right. Well, Tom's got his take on the board now. The Ace Bailey situation.
I heard you and Donnie talking about this on the money line throughout the week.
Yeah. You want to know why? Because it involves the Sixers, which is the only way.
Bring it up.
Which is the only way to get Donnie interested. All right, let me start with this. Can you tell the people when you've watched the Ace Bailey tape what you think of the player?
Phenomenal scorer, terrible decision maker. Terrible. I mean, terrible. I mean, he had, folks, pull that back up. I'm sorry. He averaged 1.2 assists per game. Brother couldn't even stumble to 2. And the ball was always in his hand. And that's the other thing, folks, right there. 6'10". He ain't 6'10". He's like 6'7 and a half, maybe 6'8". And to you people, 2 inches is a huge deal in the NBA. So number 1, skill set, fabulous. Decision making, terrible. Guidance he's getting, even worse. The ability, the fact that this guy is not going on visits to anywhere, and then he comes out with I want to be a star. Well, that means he wants to start because he's willing to give up money on his rookie deal to get a bigger second contract. So ready? Dallas, nope, they're trying to win. San Antonio, nope. Philadelphia, sorry, Donnie, nope. Then you get to 4. Does he want to go to Charlotte? No. Why? LaMelo, all these other guys, he won't be a star on that team. So now we go to 5. Utah, no, next, let's go to 6. So now it gets interesting. It's, to me, 6 or a crazy thought. He threw the first pitch out at Citi Field last night. I think he's trying to ride his way all the way to 8 to Brooklyn.
Really?
So there's a lot here. I want to start with this. Tom, you have a guilty pleasure when it comes to maybe food or TV?
Yeah. Funny.
Give us one example. Just to give people some insight into Tom Vecchio.
I mean, you give me any type of pound cake, pound cake, devil dogs, like some type of like little treat like that is like, don't put that in front of me.
Nothing like pound cake,
Watching Ace Bailey play is a guilty pleasure because I know I'm supposed to not absolutely love it, and I do, and it's crazy, and it's wrong, and I don't care. Every single ridiculous nonsense shot he takes, but when it goes in, ooh,
Gets the juices going.
do it again,
Yes.
do it again. Hand up, don't matter, brother. Come get this work. I love watching him play, and it's so bad for me, and I shouldn't. And the only way this kid works is if he buys in and he's coachable and he takes the gifts that he has, not just as a shooter, but athletically, and transfers that to the defensive side. And all this starting point, not great in thinking that that's going to happen. And I don't care.
Oh, boy, here we go.
I don't care. I'm going to be honest with you. I take him before Dylan Harper, and nobody agrees, and I know that's wrong, but I don't think it is. So, with that said, here's what I think's happening. He knows he's not going 1, he knows he's not going 2. So, now he's trying to figure out what is the best actual landing spot for me. I think, if we could all just for a second agree with Mr. Bailey or his representation, it is not Philly. Because, 1, they break kids' shooting forms. Ask Ben, ask Markelle. 2, he's not going to play that much there. The other piece of this whole thing is they keep suggesting, they're like, yeah, we're confident someone will trade up for us. I think you're right. He wants to go to Brooklyn, and I think somehow, some way, tampering level 1,000, they told him, don't worry, kid, we'll get you. I think he finds a way to end up a Brooklyn net and not at 8.
Yeah, and so that means that there's a trade coming up, and I think there was a part of the Nets willing to, I think, even take on a bad contract like a.
No way. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
Well, can I tell you this? Know why you get that water? Hey, Bailey, I don't know, he reminds me a little Paul George. This kid's got something, man. I love watching this kid play.
All right, the Nets may be willing to take on Paul George's contract.
Oh, I'd love it. I'll be at every Nets game. Oh, I can't wait.
Look, can you imagine? Ready?
They were restricting me from betting Ace Bailey props because he went to Rutgers. Get this kid in the league.
2, 3, 4. Cam Thomas, Paul George,
Ace
Bailey. They may score 140 points a game,
but they'll
and
get
they give them
170.
170.
They're all going to hate each other, too.
It'd be fantastic.
Listen, let me just say this, though, with Ace. Legitimately, when you know you're not going 1 or 2, him saying, I'm not going to Philly, I have no problem with. Now, why he's not working out for Charlotte, Utah, New Orleans, and all that is a little questionable. The only thing is, if you said, hey, what's the dream landing spot for Ace Bailey? It is Brooklyn. Because here's the other thing. You'll back me up on this. Jordy's not letting him get away with this nonsense. Jordan. Then Brooklyn Nets head
Jordy
coach.
Fernandez.
Yeah.
No.
He's not letting him get away with this nonsense.
And
I think Jordy's a really good coach.
No, I'm friendly with one of Jordy's better friends coming back from Spain, and Jordy is a high level coach that will hold kids to the fire. So actually, for his game, that's also the best spot for him as well.
It's the best. So it's going to get him all the shots he wants. It's going to get him great coaching. It's going to get him a big market. I know that we always get uncomfortable when guys do this, and I kind of get it. But if I'm reading this correctly, and maybe I have Ace Bailey colored glasses on in reading this, I kind of get it. Now, I will admit this. Liking a player like Ace Bailey, where you watch him play and you're like, oh gosh, is he coachable? And the first introduction to the NBA is, I'm not meeting with anybody. He is a risk. I am 100% aware this kid's a risk. But I think he has a lot more upside. Then again, I'll compare him to his Rutgers teammate in Dylan Harper. Let's talk more about the draft with you guys right here on SportsGrid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent a message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday night, Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's update the draft through the odds. Cooper Flagg. Tom, wow, did you move the market? I mean, my goodness. Minus a gazillion for Flagg to go first. We know the score. Dylan Harper's minus 6,000 to go number 2. It does not look like there is going to be any movement there, not just in terms of the odds, but the pick, which was one of the questions that we did have. We're now seeing some strength in the number 3 odds, which is VJ Edgecombe. I would be very careful chasing this steam. There are plenty of rumors around Philadelphia trading the pick. And I do not know if Philly trades the pick, if it's going to still be VJ Edgecombe. I do think if the Sixers stick and pick, I think VJ is the rightful front runner. I do think that there's no way they draft Ace Bailey after all of the stuff that happened. I think Con Knipple or maybe Trey Johnson would have an opportunity if Philly sticks and picks. But again, that's why VJ has that favorite status, but I would still be careful. Also, I think Philly, from what you hear around the league, Philly kind of wants to trade the pick, and maybe they're trying to get everybody to think they want VJ, and maybe that's not even their favorite guy if they are forced to pick. It's 2-1 right now for Con Knipple to go 4th overall. That pick, again, belongs to Charlotte. Same number for Trey Johnson to go 5th overall. Ace Bailey is the favorite to go 6th at plus 260 to Washington, plus 230 Jeremiah Fears to go to New Orleans, to go 7th overall, I should say. And then you start to get those bigger numbers a little bit as things start to open up. We are now getting top 10 pick odds. We're getting odds to be a top 20 selection as well. Thomas Sorber really catches my eye, actually, in that market. But has there been anything through the odds, Coach, that has started to catch your eye?
Well, a couple of things. I got to see what if Philadelphia makes the pick, because I'm going to say something that maybe people think I'm crazy. I think there's a world that they draft Con Knipple at 3.
Okay.
I think they need spacers, especially if a guy like Maxey can get downhill. McCain can shoot the ball, but he can get downhill. Obviously, the attention that someone like Joel Embiid gets. That's why a guy like Kelly Oubre was good for Philadelphia, because his ability to shoot the ball from 3. So I think Con Knipple, who I think is more, I think Kevin made a point before the show we were talking. Con Knipple's more athletic than he plays. And I think that's something where you look at the eye test, you're like, you watch, like, not that athletic. But then you see him, like his measurables, you're like, oh, well, this guy's out jumps this guy in the vertical. He does a shuttle run better than this guy. So I think Khan can up on 3. Guy that I'm looking at is as a coach, I start thinking about like positions of need, right? So I'm looking down this draft board. I'm seeing, a point guard possibly needed with Utah. I'm looking at Washington could use a point guard. I'm looking at, well, obviously they're good with New Orleans unless they trade someone like DeJounte Murray. I think they're not happy with quickly in Toronto, point guard. And then a long-term solution with the Rockets who have the 10th pick. Interesting enough, I wonder if that's being used in a trade. So to me, the kid from, and I'm going to butcher names all draft. I do it every year. Igor, I think it's Demon. The point guard out of BYU is someone I'm very intrigued with, and him to go in the top 10 right now is at +3. I think it's +390. I think there's a way if teams start drafting on what they need, Kevin, he could find his way into the top 10.
As of now, this may relate to some of the talks that we had pre-show, but you're very high on Malawach. Coming out
super high.
So would you be looking at him as a top 5 pick? Because that might be a little bit of a reach. I understand that. Or would you look to nail him down to a specific pick? Because if we are talking this through, I think it comes down to, is there going to be a trade? Because if there's a trade out of, as we were alluding to before, if the Nets move up to get 3, that will change how things transpire down from 3 to 6, essentially, because it comes down to the need. Because if we're looking at, if the Nets do trade up and do take Ace Bailey, as we're kind of alluding to last segment, I don't think the Hornets will take a big, and I don't think the Jazz will take a big. So then it would lead to what happens after that.
I think Malawach has kind of been a product of some of the, we like this guy, just to see who will be willing to trade up, because there's only one Kaman Malawach in this draft. He's the floor for this kid is minutes winner. He flirted with breaking the single-season offensive rating record this past year. He just didn't meet the minutes requirement. The problem is some of the range that we see him projected to go, 9, 10, Phoenix might own the pick.
Right.
Now, Phoenix, I'm sure, would draft them, but also, is Phoenix going to own the pick? So there's just a lot of trickiness with some of this draft stuff. We start to put our eye back towards the NBA Finals here on SportsGrid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. The Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a +340 price.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on Betting Above the Rim, and because I'm a good teammate, I'm gonna listen to the coach, and we're gonna bring up something quickly with the San Antonio Spurs. And here's the thing. So I know how I talk about Ace Bailey. People are like, "So you think Ace is the best player in his class?" Not at all.
No.
I think Cooper Flagg is in a complete tier on his own, and also I think Kaman Malawach is worthy of the second overall pick. And I don't just mean, like I would take him second overall regardless of who I was. I mean the Spurs, I think, should draft Kaman Malawach, and I thought that before. I thought that on my own, and then Coach brought it up on his own. So we're seeing it similarly, Coach. They're not going to do it, but I really believe they should.
And the reason why is, Kaman Malawach.
You think they should trade back, though, which is the difference. Like, you're not as high on Malawach as I am.
I think you trade back. I think you could trade back, and someone like will come up and go get him. But to me, Kaman Malawach is this: at 7'2", he is scary athletic. They'll have to develop him, and you put Malawach next to Wembanyama at 7'5". Good luck getting to the hoop. Now, listen, people sit there and say, come on, Malawach, against Houston, guy had no rebounds. I get it. But if you're talking about upside and what he can do and what they need, he makes more sense than Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper does not make sense to me. It doesn't. With Stephon Castle, with De'Aaron Fox, with Devin Vassell, he's the fourth guard in that team. I don't, and I love Dylan. He's a great talent. I don't think he's got the upside of people think, like an Ace Bailey or a Malawach or some of these other guys. But to me, Tom, it doesn't make sense for San Antonio to take Harper over Malawach unless some big guard, and Kevin mentioned maybe De'Aaron Fox during the break, someone gets moved before the draft.
Yeah, so that's what it comes down to. It would be drafting him, because first of all, drafting him, the minutes just wouldn't be there to develop him. Like, you could play, a handful in the teens of minutes per game off the bench.
Who?
Harper.
Oh, they're going to start him.
They're
not going to draft him too. I want to make this clear. I don't think what you're saying is crazy, because I understand why, but I'm telling you right now.
If they draft him,
this whole offseason, we're not even going to trade for Giannis. We just like Dylan Harper.
Okay.
Dylan Harper starting.
Okay.
Steph Castle might get moved to the bench after winning Rookie of the Year.
Okay, but I would say if they drafted Harper, it would be, and then they have something else lined up. Like to move one of those guards, to move Fox and Vassell, like some combination of they have something else lined up. That's the only thing I would say that makes sense from a team perspective. Yeah. But if they drafted him and you're listen, he's just starting, I wouldn't be shocked by that. I would say my initial thought would be he comes off the bench.
So here's kind of just my outlook on the whole thing, okay? San Antonio traded for De'Aaron Fox because Fox begged to be there, and they were like, oh, okay, cool, we can get Fox for not all that much. Yeah. And, it's not like every day people are beating down the door to be a San Antonio Spur, so they made the deal. I crushed it in real time. I was right. That's fine. Okay, boom. But they were like, well, we were never going to end up with the number 2 overall pick. They end up with the number 2 overall pick. Now, I am on the outside when it comes to evaluating some of these guys at the top end of the draft. A lot of people believe that Cooper Flagg is in his own tier, and then Dylan Harper's in his own tier. And then we get to everybody else. I don't know, you're bored yet, JY? I think Harper may be number 2, but I don't think that necessarily you view Dylan Harper levels and levels and levels above everybody else, which is why you're concerned about the fit. For San Antonio, they seemingly, again, believe what a lot of people believe, which is Harper, again, is separated from the rest of this class, and they're not going to go for a position of need when Dylan Harper is way better than everybody else. To that, I say this. You better be right, because De'Aaron Fox hit, right, as a player, but he's not right now, I would argue, a top 10 point guard in the league, and it kind of throw things off. And I'm not sure Dylan Harper, again, I'm just a little bit lower on Harper as a prospect relative to everybody else. I still think he is comfortably one of the 5 best prospects in the class. It's just relative to everybody else. But for San Antonio, it is also, I would be fine with Harper going second if they did not already do the Fox deal, because now it's a mess. Because now you have Fox, Harper, and Castle. Fox and Harper's ideal situation personally is to score 20 a game and assist a little. Castle is very, very, very good defensively, but also wants to score the basketball and show that level of growth. Like, people can talk about the Pacers with Halliburton and Nesmith and Nembhard. Who is what in the San Antonio trio of a relative comparison? And it's what makes what Halliburton does so incredibly special. So, yes, it's one of these situations where the explanation for what San Antonio is doing is they think Dylan Harper is comfortably better than whoever you think the third best player in this draft is.
And I think you bring up Indiana. I think that's a great point, Kevin. And in regards to that three guard lineup that they have, you need a point guard that's going to be willing to be at times, and he really is, regardless of how much he scores. I still consider Tyrese Halliburton to be a pass-first point guard, in my opinion. That is what his game is best suited. I don't look at Fox and say pass first. I don't see Castle as pass first, and I don't see De'Aaron Fox. I don't see any of those guys as pass first guards. So to me, it doesn't make, just because a three-guard lineup you've seen works doesn't mean it works for you. I also say that although Dylan Harper is my number 2 on my draft board in regards to prospects, that does not mean that when you talk about the upside, I don't think he's got more upside than Edgecombe. I don't think he has more upside than Ace Bailey. I don't think he has more upside than Kamal Malawach. I don't think he's got the upside of those guys. So unless you're gonna start him, which means you're moving someone, if you're gonna play him 15, 20 minutes, it makes no sense. Go get Malawach, and that to me, because I'm not living on Bismarck Biyombo that's going to be able to take care of me in the pivot. No offense, Bismarck, you're about 6 inches taller than me, but I still think I may be able to take you in the post a little bit.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to rating these players, I think what you're alluding to is that at face value, how you look at them now may be different than in terms of the tiers, as you're saying, but the potential ceiling for an Ace Bailey or Malawach, they have a higher ceiling tier compared to where Harper is right now. And that's how I think it's an interesting way to frame it, instead of saying, like, it's this player, then it's everybody else. It's like, well, if these players reach their potential, they could have been or should have been taken 2 and 3.
And you have to have a level of confidence in a player's floor still, right? Just because Bailey has more potential than, again, I'll use Dylan Harper, but I also believe that Ace Bailey's athletic profile and size give him a really high floor. Now, again, all the worries with Ace are about buying in, I guess, just is the simplest way to put it. But that makes for a fascinating situation for Ace specifically. And again, I know it sounds like I am, you're so low on Dylan Harper. I think he's one of the 5 best players in the class. It's not that. I just am, I'll say 6 comfortably, right? Because that includes VJ Khan then as well. I just happen to be very, very high on what Kaman Malawach and Ace Bailey can be. You will not find, I doubt, someone who has, who thinks Kaman Malawach is really worthy of the 2nd pick, right? And I'm even coach like, well, they should probably trade back to get and he's, it's a good take. I just think they should just take him at 2, because if Kaman Malawach, if I'm right, if Kaman Malawach hits, and if Malawach and Wemby. Well, it's just 8 championships in a row or something like that. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. I know we went a little bit long there, but also gives you guys an idea that we're ready for the draft, which is going to be Wednesday. We obviously put a lot into those shows to get ready and break all that stuff down. So I'm really, really excited and really looking to follow the markets as well and start to get some of the betting opportunities that are going to be out there for us as some of the intel starts to get a little bit clearer as things get closer. We are going to take a break. We're going to get to game number 7 with the NBA Finals tomorrow. Tyrese Halliburton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, legacies on the line. We'll break it down next.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis Because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, the Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on SportsGrid, game number 7. We've got a 7.5-point line. We've got a 215 total here. Let's start with this, Tom. As far as the side, as far as the total goes, do you expect movement in any direction on those numbers? We've already seen a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it would drop down to 214.5. I wouldn't be surprised by that. It's sitting at 215 now, just to be clear. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it close at 7. I don't think the Thunder will grow as favorites. I think it'll get a closer and closer game with fewer and fewer points. So give me a 7-point close by the time we get to tomorrow night and a 214.5 total.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you're looking at with it coming down a little bit. And just because if you look at the track record, folks, of Game 7s, they're just not a lot of points. I don't know the last time you even had a game, honestly, that a Game 7 that was more than a 7 or 8 point win. I think most of them have been relatively close. I'm just thinking the last one, I do believe, was Kyrie and LeBron winning 93-89 over Golden State in the Game 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Great game.
Great game. Fantastic game. So to me, I think the under is in play. There's different ways you look at it, though, folks. Do you just go straight under, or do you get concerned of the fact of OKC is just going to come out like they did in Game 7 against Denver and blow their doors off, and now you're worried that they may go way over to 111.5, and then you go under 103.5 for Indiana, which was another way to entice them, or try and alt them down to even under 100 points.
So, for me, I hope this total keeps dropping, and I hope the Pacers continue to see love in the market. From what I gather right now, and I'll do another updated check, but 214.5 is already available in one spot. Another potentially has a 6.5 on the board. So, we may be heading that direction. My dream number is 109.5 for an OKC team total. They have scored 110 points in all 12 home games so far this postseason. They've scored 112 in 11 of the 10, so I will be fine at 111.5 or 110.5. I think it is likely how I will find myself most comfortable within this, because the reason I don't want to lay the number with Oklahoma City is just simply respecting the Pacers. Coach, sorry, close your ears. Remember last time the Pacers won a Game 7?
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
130 points. The Pacers offense is just one that if it's on, Game 7, cool, yeah, thanks. Anyway, come get this 120. It's just, it can be very, very different. So it is OKC's offense, Tom, that interests me most within this basketball game. And there are just a ton of SGA props that are interesting me.
Really?
From his rebounds and assists. The points prop, I am disappointed because I thought I'd get a better number, right?
In which way?
I thought I was going to be able to get like over 30 and a half, 20. I mean, I was hoping to get 29 and a half. That wasn't going to happen, I guess. But just with the low total, you never know. I may just play like Shea's points, rebounds, and assists. It's a stars game. And you got to remember this. SGA went over all those numbers in the Game 7 blowout of Denver, despite the fact that they won that game 125 to 93. He finished that game with 35 points. So I'm really going to be interested in the Thunder and Shea's offense within this game, Tom.
So I could talk myself into rebounds and assists for him.
Yeah.
But as I kind of mentioned at the top, I would be very wary of his points. I think 32, him pushing to 33, 34, whatever it might be, I think that's just a bit too much when I'm expecting the game under overall. So, no, I always like to look for a little bit of correlation. I'm not going to be trying to take these players flying over their points props if I'm expecting the game to finish with, 210 total points. That's not the way I do things. To see him go over his rebounds and assists, but still fall under his points, I think is a pretty reasonable way to go about things. We'll get into some of our best bets as we close out the show in the next segment, but I could, if you ask me, I could convince myself on unders on basically every single player in this game, maybe outside of Nembhard.
Interesting.
The one guy I'm going to look at for over is I just look at that Lou Dort at 7.5. I can't take the over 1.5 made threes at like minus 166 on FanDuel because that's just a wild number. So to me, if he hits 2 threes and hits a 2, then he's at 8. So I'd rather just go over the 7.5 points. Kevin, you know who I'm not going to take? Miles Turner over rebounds, because that sucker cost me by the hook. So Miles Turner, it was over 4.5 rebounds in game number 6 at minus 152. They're hanging it out there at minus 146 right now on FanDuel. I'm not touching it. I don't believe in it. But to me, you got to look at guys that are defenders, guys that are going to play big minutes, and guys that do have, I would say, the trust of the staff. So to me, a guy that may be in the mix here is going to be Caruso. Now, I don't know where I'm going with it yet. It may be something where it's like points, rebounds, assists. I may go try find that because his 3-point prop, it's at plus money, but Kevin, he hasn't hit it in, I think, 3 straight games. But if you're going to play half-court basketball and you're going to rely on your defenders, there should be bigger minutes for guys like Caruso, but less minutes for guys like Wiggins.
Yeah, I want to add this. The Chet pricing is infuriating.
For which props?
Like the points specifically. He has scored 13 points in the last 2 games combined, and yet we're still staring down the barrel of 15.5, getting under 3-1 on Chet to score 20. That's really frustrating. The 15.5 is a number he's only hit once so far in the series. The thing is, the books are kind of aware that the volume is there for Chet. I think one of the things we're seeing, Tom, and I think maybe why the unders are popping to you in the way that they are, and it's a totally valid look. They seem to be any starter, higher number, they're thinking big minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Which, like, that's almost what the Jalen Williams case is. Game 6 was 23.5. This game's 22.5. Okay, boom, it's worth it. Like, because you're just trying to find those angles, knowing you're entering, if you're looking for an over, that is,
correct,
entering into a Game 7. All right, we'll close this out. Some best bets, some 3-man weave with you guys right here on SportsGrid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis Because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent a message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday night, Monday. Oh, the Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on Sports Grid. Let's get some three-man weave. Let's get some best bets for the people, and then we'll give you our thoughts once more on game number 7 of the NBA Finals. We started off with the three-man weave. All right, three-man weave. Let's put this thing in motion, Tom. Start us off.
Yeah, let's go to Satu Sabali for the Phoenix Mercury over 26.5 points plus rebounds. That's where I want to be going with this. Recent performance from her, not great. 4 of 18 from the field, 3 of 11, under 30% in both games. Yet we're getting a 15-9 game and a 12-15 game from her. So she's getting to this mark right thereabouts over in 1 where, like, hey, objectively bad shooting performance.
Yep.
Great matchup going up against the Sky. I like it. Over. Keep it nice and simple.
All right, not bad there. What do you like here, JY, for a three-man weave?
I'm going to Alyssa Thomas for a double-double, and I'm honestly shocked that it's only at minus 110. Alyssa Thomas has had 4 straight double-doubles since returning. She has to keep Angel Reese off the boards. And the Chicago Sky are number 1 in rebounding percentage. So rebounding is going to be at a premium, and Alyssa Thomas can get it. If to Tom's point, if he likes Satu Sabali to go over points, the person's going to get Kalia Copper and Satu Sabali the ball is Alyssa Thomas. Alyssa Thomas double-double today.
I'm going late night. Kelsey Plum over the 18.5. Kelsey Plum missed the Sparks' most recent outing against Seattle. She hasn't played in a week. The last time she did play was against Minnesota, and it was a game where the Sparks did not have it, and yet Kelsey still found her way to 20-plus. The efficiency's been pretty rough for her within her last 5 or 6 basketball games. I wonder if maybe the week off, I understand that it was due to an injury, but it was probably way more time than anticipated, right? Her missing the game Tuesday with the way the schedule broke for this group, I think you can get a really good effort out of Kelsey Plum. Give me over 18.5 points. For the best bet, we bring it back to Coach's Corner. I'm going to take Angel Reese over her 15.5 rebounds plus. I want to bring the assists into it. Sometimes players get into grooves, and I think right now Angel is probably excited about the assist opportunities. They're probably going to draw up some more plays where Angel's looking to dish the basketball and create chances for others, and I never would want to leave the rebounds out of it either. Still one of the very best rebounders in the entire WNBA. So for me, rebounds plus assists over 15.5 for Angel Reese. Coach, what do we got?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Phoenix Mercury. I'm going to just lay the points today versus their game versus Chicago, a team like we talked about, won all 4 games since Alyssa Thomas has been back. They've covered 3 of the last 4 games, including a really good win in New York. Also, there's 3 of those games, New York, Connecticut, Vegas, all on the road. So this is kind of the end of a road trip. Big performance today out of Alyssa Thomas and the crew. Give me the Phoenix Mercury minus the points.
I'm going to be going with Miles Turner tomorrow night, under 12.5 points. The volume is not there. The efficiency isn't there. And, we're getting a little bit of his usage cut down. I'm not going to say Thomas Bryant and Tony Bradley are playing massive roles. But again, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. You're just taking a little bit of time off the court for Miles Turner. And when it's all said and done for the Pacers offense, at best, he's 5th, 6th in terms of scoring that you would want, like scoring options when Nesmith, Nembhard, Halliburton, Siakam, McConnell coming off the bench. It's like, how many touches on the ball is he really going to have?
I like that you led it with Nesmith.
Nesmith, Nembhard. I like Nembhard.
I also think what's interesting with Miles Turner is this a game where you want him to be bombing threes?
No, and
because especially a team like them that can get out in transition and run. Miles has struggled in this series. I also wonder if, with Hartenstein the other way, do you see teams go small tomorrow? And possibly, Dagnall go with a little.
He's changing the lineup, right? He started Caruso in the second half of the game, so he didn't even wait to Game 7. He's 100% starting Caruso tomorrow.
Really?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Miles Turner under 12.5.
And who's going to sit?
Hartenstein. Not even a question. Hartenstein might as well not even show up to the gym. Lean, side total. I know we're back tomorrow night.
I'm leaning on total under. And I'm leaning on side. I'm going to play it live, but right now, if I had to take a pregame, I'm going to take Indiana plus a point.
Pacers play the Thunder in game at like -2 or -3 and the under.
OKC and over right now for me. That OKC team total very likely to end up the best bet by the time that Coach and I are live tomorrow night.
I guess we're working.
Game 7.
I wasn't ready for it, but I'll be ready like Lance Stevenson, unless I'm playing against
Michael Beasley.
Michael Beasley, yeah, I'm not that.
Am I Michael Beasley then? In that instance, I don't think so. I think we're working together.
Yeah,
Well, Beasley and Lance are actually teammates in the Big Three.
Stockton and Malone? No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No. We're way better
Coach,
looking than them.
Tom, K-Dubs. We'll see you next time right here on SportsGrid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.